Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, our topic today is how to get creative using textures, all right? And I'm gonna dive right in to show you a couple cool tricks. All right, so this is the final outcome of what we want to develop. This is the image we're gonna be starting with, all right? So let's go to the edit menu for a moment, edit panel. And I'm gonna look at history, there we go, and make sure we're set to 0. All right, now the first step, what I like to do is I like to start with a template, and that's just in the beginning, just to give us just a general developing of the image. Let's see, this looks good. Nope, too much. Oh, that one looks good. All right, so I like teal orange. Before, after, I have my simple processing is done. Now let's apply some textures and have some fun. So again, I used just a template that AI suggested just to process the image, just to make it look better. Now I want to get creative. So I'm going to come over here to the local masking brush, and I want to click on Add Texture. Now from here, we're going to load a texture onto here. Now, I mentioned this many times before. Photography is my main folder with all my images are in it. I created a subfolder inside this with all my images called _assets. Here is where I'm going to store textures, skies, my Luminar textures, anything or LUTs, anything that I need to make sure Luminar runs great. And if you're a Lightroom user, this is where you would put your Lightroom presets. So you have everything in one spot. Now, I'm going to click on textures. For this particular image, I already know this painterly effect is going to look good because I created it from 3 different textures. But look what it's doing. Right now, the opacity is set to 1/2. I can move it all the way up. And what I'm doing here now is I want the texture to look pretty sharp or pretty contrasty. So I have this set. I could come in, desaturate, but I'm going to leave it where it's at because I like how it's going to add to the color of my image. Now, the image itself is right underneath it. So this is an overlay on top of my image. For me to see through, I'm going to change the blend modes. So with the blend modes here, let's look at overlay, soft light, hard light. So these are the ones I think that are going to look the best. Screen is just too bright. It's between overlay and soft light. I'm going to go with soft light. Now, I have it set, and as you can see, there's some areas on it, that I don't want it to appear. So we're going to mask those areas out. But here's the opacity. If I bring the opacity down just a bit, I can add just the right amount of texture to the image. I'm going to go with it right about here. All right? I like it like this. Now, I'm going to come up and I'll answer all questions right when I'm done showing you this in about 2 minutes. All right, so I have it set here, but I am going to come up here and erase some of the texture that's on her face because I want her face to shine through. For the opacity of the brush, let's bring it down a bit. And to make my life easier, I'm actually going to paint, or I'm going to actually be applying it using a pen. Oh, look at that. Good. All right, so look at this. So far, we went from this to this. And look what the texture is adding. All right? Now, here's what we're going to do. I love how this looks, and I can be finished here, but let's try an experiment. I want to add another texture to this. So now this texture that I'm adding is going to be placed on top of the texture we just applied. So let's come over here, and let's see, which one would be good? Let's do more of a fine texture. All right, this one right here. This looks good, but I think this one's gonna look a little bit better. And here's the best part about this. If I don't like it, I could just replace it. Let's move this to 100% so I can see what we're dealing with. Okay, this has good brush strokes to it, so I think that's gonna look really good. Change the blend mode again. Soft light looks good. Hard light's a little too much. You know what? I think overlay adds just a little different type of effect to it. And again, all of this is to your taste. Ooh, I like that. And again, it's on her face. Erase. Keeping it at a low percentage or a low opacity. I'm just going to erase it off of her face. Good. Now think of some questions you want to ask me. So the moment I'm done, I'll try to answer some of the questions live. Oh, I like that. All right, so that texture is adding quite a bit to it. Let's try one more texture. And for this texture, let's see. Let's try something a little bit different, like a frame. Oh, here it is. Let's try a frame. Yeah. So look what the frame just did for me. It's darkening the edges, almost like a vignette. All right. So, but for this, I know that texture is really big. So I clicked on the place texture, and that's going to give me my handles to resize it. Yeah, I'll put it right here. And then, oh, I missed a little bit. Grab it. There we go. Got it? All right. Let's go at 100% so we can see it. Yeah, so that's a little too, yeah, that's just a little too dark. So let's see what would happen if we change the blend modes. Ooh. The overlay looks good. Multiply maybe. Nope. So I'm going to go back. All right, I'm going to go, let's say here, hard light, but I'm going to bring the opacity way down a bit. All right. Now, at this point, you can make a decision. Do I like it or not? In this case here, it's not doing anything special for me. So from here, I can come up to texture itself, and right here, the little X, when I hover over the icon, I'm going to remove it. So I didn't like that texture. I can just remove it, and I think I am going to go over to vignette, choose the subject, which will be Wendy, and we're going to dial it back a bit. Bring the size down, and I want to flare it out more with the, so if you notice, I'll do this, you can see it. So watch what feather does. Good. I'm gonna feather it right across the entire image. Add just a little inner light, make it pop. And bring back the amount, so you really can't tell that I added it. But, let's see, we need more about there. But before and after, we'll be able to see, look at that. I can see where it's taking it in on the sides, but I want to bring the feather back a little bit. There we go. And now it's bringing attention back to her face. All right, there it is. All right, now let's answer some of these questions. All right, first off, let me go up to the top. Hello in Oswego. Chile, nice. And France. All right, let's see. I had a good question coming in here. Okay, good. Gary, you're asking, what is your Luminar AI toolbox? Oh, what's in my Luminar AI toolbox? Thank you. All right, I can show you that in a second. Do you remove a texture layer in history? Ooh. Unfortunately, you can't move individual layers in the history. I just showed you how. Oh, Yeah, so I just showed you how I can remove the texture. And to remove the texture was real simple. From here, I just hovered over the icon, boom, and clicked X, and that got rid of it. I hope that's what you were asking. And Robert, yes, good job. Robert said, couldn't you have just copied your mask from the first texture and apply it to the other one? Great job, Robert. Yes. I wish there was prizes we could just dole out to people. Yeah, so what Robert is saying is, here's the very first texture. I could have came in here and just came down to copy the mask. Now the mask is copied, and I could have applied it. Let's add another texture just to show you. Let's see. Let's add this one. And just to show you what it's at, there it is. Good, and then you would click on the ellipsis tool again and click paste, and now look what that just did. Great job, Robert, yes. So now what that just did is I was able to take the layer mask from the other texture and then just apply it to here. And let's dial this back a bit. Change it to soft light. Ooh, that looks good too. Let's see what the saturation does. Nope, that's fine. All right, there we have it. All right. Good input, Robert. All right, Jerry. Yes, that's through local masking, right? Yes, it is. Yes, Gary, we're going to do the. Yes, you'll see the water droplets and all the stuff that we did coming up. I'm really excited to show that. I mean, it's been the first time in a long time I got to experiment and just have fun. So yes, I'll show you guys the water droplets. Hopefully, either next week, next episode, or the following week. We'll let you guys see it from there. And what's in my toolbox? All right, so let me go back to here. So let's do this. I'm going to come in and low texture, just so I can show you where my toolbox, where my assets. So here I am with photography. Here's under assets. Looks are used for Luminar 4 and Luminar 3, so I don't use too many of those. Here's LUTs. I like to download a ton of LUTs, and by the way, the C drive is my drive for Coffee Break. Down here is my actual drive on my Drobo. My assets there are a lot different from here, mainly because that's my working drive. So there's LUTs in here. I do have my signature. Skies. And templates, of course. Now the templates are here just as a safekeeping. So if I ever had to reinstall them again, I can install them from here, or I could just go to my Skylum account and download them from there. And of course, textures. So let me get to a Skylum account for a moment. See if there's any other questions. All right, one moment while I'm going to pull up my Skylum account. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in. And F11. Here we go. All right. There. Good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't showing you my my personal serial number. So I signed in, then signed out. Here we are. So here's my account. This is all the software I own from Skylum. And you can find that software here. If you don't see something, if you don't see your software here, you can submit proof of purchase, or you can link your licenses, typically with your email address. Here's all the stuff I have over the years. But what we're looking for are the add-ons So here are some of the add-ons that we could bring in. And, yep, my software, we already went through that, right? Yep. So here's where you'd find the add-ons. Now, keep in mind, since I work for Skylum, in the marketplace, these are the different signature templates, skies, LUTs, and textures I could download. And if you'll notice inside my templates folder, or when I apply templates, I have some templates that you may not have. Now, if you like a lot of this stuff, my suggestion, you know what I just noticed? My Luminar X membership isn't on here. Interesting. But with that, you can, if you're a Luminar X member, you can save money by being a member, and then you could download, like this right here, it'll tell you what they're for and if it's included in Luminar X or not. All right? So I hope that answers your question on that end. So again, this is where I find a lot of my skies, templates, and so on. Or if I need to, I can create my own textures. But why reinvent the wheel? There's a lot of free textures you could find, and you can just add them to your assets folder. All right? Well, hey, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Now, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll try to answer those the best that we can. And if you have suggestions for future episodes of Coffee Break, please let us know. Well, I'm Vinelli. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next Coffee Break.